Hello out there, my name is Mr. Salaudin and you're on to Community Today, a program on CEO Africa. It's an educative and informative program. And today on Community Today, we shall be discussing a topic titled Impact of Distance Learning Education on University Education. And to do justice on that topic, he is the outgoing director of Distance Learning Center, University of Ibadan, in the person of Professor Bayo Okunade. Good afternoon and welcome to the
Good
program.
afternoon. I'm very pleased to be on this program.
So we'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us about your academic background and professional career.
My name is Bayo Okunade. I'm a professor of political science in the University of Ibadan. I was, before becoming the director of the Distance Learning Center, the director of the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, University of Ibadan, and head of political science department. And since February 2011, I've been the director of the Distance Learning Center. It will be 6 years next week when I'll be disengaging as director of the Distance Learning Center.
Thank you so much, sir. Speaking about Distance Learning Center, we find that year in, year out, people write JAMB and most of the time they don't get admission into university, probably because they don't know about distance learning. So we'd like you to please explain what exactly distance learning education is and what makes it different from regular education.
Thank you very much, and I think let me first of all appreciate this platform, at least to do some advocacy in favor of distance learning education. Let me say that distance learning is a mode of study that is different from the conventional study. The difference is that the distance learning affords a prospective learner the opportunity of being at whatever location and have the benefit of the education without necessarily having to come on regular basis within the four walls of the university. And of course, when you talk of distance learning, it's a sort of generic term in the sense that it has so many variants. Distance learning can be in terms of correspondence, which some people benefited, I will know, these great Nigerians. It might be in form of even part-time program where people run from pillar to post in the afternoon, weekends. And there can be ODL mode. ODL mode is open distance learning mode, and that's what we do at the University of Ibadan. The open distance learning mode is a form of distance learning which allows students to stay at whatever location and benefit, without necessarily coming physically within the premises of the University of Ibadan. It is essentially ICT enabled, where students are afforded the opportunity of having their tuition through the various formats. You have mobile format, you have the hard copies, you have online instantaneous interaction with students, where they can be in different locations. But of course, the guideline requires that at least there must be some limited period of face-to-face interaction, which we call interactive session. But it's totally different from part-time, where people come physically and they are treated as regular students. The difference between part-time and regular students is the timing. That is, instead of coming to school from 8 to 4 or whatever, they come at weekends and whatever. That's not what we do at the University of Ibadan. What you do at the University of Ibadan allows students to be wherever they are, and it is ICT enabled. So students can now benefit, and their course material is written in a way that when the student is reading it, it's as if a teacher is talking to him, not in terms of lecture notes or not in terms of reading a textbook. And you see, there's a problem, globally about distance learning education. You said many people did not get admission to the university, doesn't mean that they are not aware. Let me just say that globally, there's a problem in accepting distance learning education. There's this tendency for people to think that you have to be in regular schooling for your certificate to be meaningful. In Nigeria, we have a particular problem. You see, in Nigeria, by design, the NYSC Act excludes graduates of distance learning education from going for National Youth Service Corps. And to some of our students, they are not graduated unless they have gone for the National Youth Service Corps. But what we have been telling them is that your degree, with or without National Youth Service call, you don't need to go to you call. And I want to say that in Nigeria, people have the penchant for regular education because of the situation in the country.
I would like to ask, sorry for cutting you short, sir. When you have your certificate as a distance learning student, does it get stated in your certificate that it's a distance learning program?
In University of Ibadan, it's not stated because of the fact that we celebrate parity of esteem. Parity of esteem in that the admission requirement for distance learning students in University of Ibadan is deemed like regular students. Those people who are facilitating the courses are people that deal with regular students. The curriculum, everything, grading, there's no difference. The only difference is mode. The difference is mode. Why we have students that come Monday to Friday, whatever, residential distance learning students study remotely, and they only come for some program intervention. So, because of that, we believe that the degree of the University of Ibadan that is given to distance learning students is just the same thing like the one that is given to and then it can be proven empirically, because when distance learning students graduate, they also compete with not regular students of University of Ibadan, but regular students from other universities, and they excel. Most of them are on their PhD programs, they are finishing masters, and they compete effectively. So that is the evidence that they are not inferior. You see, but globally, people think that you must be in a regular whatever. There are so many Nigerians in Nigeria who are schooling, even up to PhD level, without even knowing the forward of the university they are schooling, and they get that certificate. And that is the global trend. The global trend, even for regular education now, it's not a matter of somebody coming to class 8 o'clock in the morning. It's mediated by technology. So you can get part of your tuition without even going to classroom.
Okay, so distance learning is basically a virtual mode of learning.
It's not basically, when you say virtual mode, it means then there's limited interaction. There is no interaction at all. In Nigeria, we have not gotten to a level where it can be 100% online, and that's why you have a limited period of interactive session where students will come, for some hours, for some weeks, to do some bit of revision that will give them the opportunity of seeing facilitator directly. But at the same time, there's a regular mediation online, 24/7. Those people that are putting them through their course materials.
All right, sir. This brings me to my next question. Who are those eligible to take part in distance learning program?
This distance learning program is open to anybody. It's supposed to be a global university. If we do it well, then it must be possible for you to be anywhere in the world. Some of our students are not based in Nigeria.
Because there are speculations that you have to probably be a worker.
I'm coming. You see, we have to look at ideal construct. Distance learning student, distance learning education was originally designed for people who, because of their volition, either because they are married, they have children, they are business people, but they want to advance their education, but they don't have the time to now go out for regular schooling. And then schooling is not for employment. There are some people continue to read as a matter of principle or whatever. It's not that when you get certificated, you are going to work for somebody. Because the opportunity that you have the opportunity for lifelong, you continue to read until you enter the grave. So ideally, it was for those category of people. But because of the peculiar problem in Nigeria, problem of access, 1.5 million Nigerian students sitting for JAMB, the universities in Nigeria cannot take 450,000. Then distance learning is the option. And that brings you to the advantage of distance learning education. Distance learning education provides opportunity of massification of education opportunity, because it's not a brick and mortar environment. You don't need classroom, you don't need a laboratory, whatever. Of course, technology can be very expensive, and the only way that is left to those people that are not in regular education is to now take advantage of distance education. And of course, the way we are going in this country, the advantage is that Most distance learners are even self-employed even when they are schooling. Some of them are established. When they get their degree, they don't even say anything to go and look for employment. But I said earlier, in Nigeria, people are in regular education. Elsewhere, students or children at 16, they will look for part-time employment. And some people, like in Britain, some people do A-level, they will go for manager training banks. By the time they spend 3 years, when you come back here from degree, they will have gathered experience, in terms of experience and whatever. So the distance learning education allows you to work and study, to even develop. Most of our students are in their own right chief executive officer of their own companies because they liberate part of their time to do things that interest them. They are entrepreneur, even in their own right. So what one is saying essentially is that for us in Nigeria, the distance learning education, if well managed, is the option. The cost of conventional university is so expensive.
So are you trying to say distance learning education is cheaper than regular?
Ultimately, it's cheaper because, the same course material we use for one student or for 20 students in the classroom, or let's say 50 students in the classroom, is what you can use for 1 million students.
I'm talking about the economic implications now for the students.
Eventually, it's cheaper. It's cheaper in some senses. It might not be cheaper in terms of how much a student pay compared to the regular student. Government gives some pension to regular students. Distance learning students don't get such whatever. But it's cheaper for them because they can work and study. They can work and study.
One doesn't have to wait for one.
Don't even wait for work, and that's why that you have younger people in regular education. Most of them are still at the mercy of their parents, and other people, you see them, these are grown-up students who are working. Even give them scholarship, give them anything, they don't have the time to even come to sit in the classroom and be listening to lectures and others.
All right. Moving away from distance learning education now, I would like you to explain some challenges facing university education in Nigeria in general.
I think the challenges are quite obvious, and the challenges have been in the public domain for years, and that's why you have been having ASUU strike. The main problem is funding. Nigerian universities are grossly underfunded, and that tests on our infrastructure. So universities were better funded, and and of course, I will not say the number of universities in Nigeria are many. I don't think that there are just many, but there can be many if they are not properly funded, and the government is still establishing more universities. And that's why some of us are of the opinion that instead of establishing more universities, which come with increased overhead costs, why not expand the existing universities where you can keep down the recurrent expenditure? You can just expand the existing facilities, but it seems as if the establishment of universities is now a political thing, and that's why the president of our union says that universities in Nigeria is now becoming what he call a constituency project, where people now see university as a economic commodity. They want universities to be located in their areas, even if for economic indicators are negative.
Okay.
So the major problem is funding. With more fund, I'm not saying money will do miracle, because the manpower aspect is also there. Because even the existing university are talking of inadequate personnel. And then with more universities, you stretch existing personnel. Where are the lecturers coming from? Who will teach the students? And then we talk of problem of quality. There's a correlation between quality and experience. Of course, it might not necessarily be positive in all cases. So which means then that when neophytes now take control of new universities, what do you expect? So there are a problem of thinning resources. The resources available, whether we're talking of a material or whatever is slim already, and of course adequate manpower, you know. So, and then when you look at some new universities, hardly can they grow their students population to 2,000 in 10 years. Whereas some older universities can add 2,000 students to their current enrollment and they can absorb them if there's increased funding. So between setting up new universities and increasing the capacity of this new system one, I will opt for the later.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Now, you mentioned on the funding, inadequate personnel, quality, and few resources are some of the challenges facing university education in Nigeria. Now, going back to distance learning, do you think that distance learning education is also affected by some of these challenges?
Yeah, it is true. Distance learning education might be bedeviled with these challenges as well. But for distance learning education, the problem is not perpetual. For some, when you talk of lecturers, part of the advantage of distance learning education is that you don't need face-to-face interaction. Write a very good course material. Use technology to impart them. Put your course material in a online format. Put it on LMS. One person can drive 1 million students, without leaving whatever at his convenience and his fun. So imagine a 1 million students in university. It's unimaginable.
Exactly.
But the email you send to one, if you have the technological capacity, the one you send to, it's the same course material that you use. And when you write a course material, a good one, you don't need to write another one in the next 5 years.
But one will still have to keep updating because
you keep updating, but the problem of updating, if well planned, is not very difficult. You see, so with distance learning, a teacher can learn, can mediate with thousands because there are different locations. And then of course, how many students do we have? There are some distance learning centers like Open University in UK, Milton Keynes has around 1.4 million students. There's university distance learning centers in India with 3 million students. UNISA has well over 1 million students.
Which cannot be achieved if it were
so which means then that in some countries they can take double the number of students that gain admission at university through their distance learning education. If we go distance learning, in fact, the issue of lack of access will not be there. You see, we are bringing in JAMB to make sure that only the best, quote and unquote, get into the university. Elsewhere, when you have what it takes to the university, opportunity is there for you to get it. I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% admission, but many more students will get in than whatever. But in Nigeria, it's a different thing, So the problem of access is there, Which means then you need up to 3 times the number of universities you have here before you can guarantee probably 100% admission of to Nigerian students. But you don't need that investment under the distance learning mode. That is why it's one-off. You will update technology, it's dynamic, but you don't have to update your technology all the time because some of the things we use are basic technology, WhatsApp and whatever, all the simple technology. You might not even go to the extent of using WhatsApp, using communicating LMS. You can use, there are free applications, Google Classroom and everything, where you can even have direct access to you can do whatever you want to do in classroom from this office. And your student will be online with you. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its difficulty because it has problems in a country like Nigeria. We know the problem of power is there, but what we have been telling students is that you have a responsibility for your education. That you should not lament about electricity. The way you look for power when you want to watch Arsenal or Manchester United, go and look for power. If you know that you have an assignment,